Hello? Are we here? Are we live? Are we doing streaming things? Are streaming things happening? It's impossible to say. Morning, evening, etc. Hope everyone's Sunday is going smoothly, pleasantly. I feel like my camera's off slightly. I'm not sure. Quacko, hello. Julian, hello. We'll get this show on a road in a minute. Wait for the regulars to roll in. Apologies for starting a little bit later today. I was at the beach and having a pleasant time and did not make it back in time for 8. What are you going to do? Harand, hello. I've got the fan on. Hopefully no one can hear it, but it is pretty warm in this office. Cool, okay, so plan for today is... I had this all in my head earlier. I was like, I know what I'm going to do today. We'll start off, I'll list it and then we'll do it, and now I've immediately forgotten. I would describe this particular rhino very warm. Hang on 1 second. It's pretty hot in this rhino. Oh shoot, I did not press the button on Discord. Thank you. I had it up, I had it ready. I was like, I must remember to press this. I've pressed it. Thank you. Obviously, I'm terrible at this and don't really know what I'm doing. Okay, plan for today. Compression of the resources. At the moment, we are just like slapping those bytes in there, like raw pixels. AC would be mad, it's true. But then I blame him for not being here to do it as well, so what are you going to do? So we need to add some compression and some presumably some decompression. I don't think it magically just decompresses itself. Then add file logging. Then fix up the Lua levels. And then I think we're pretty much ready to release it. I've been looking at GitHub and Discord webhooks, so I think we can kind of merge those together. So again, the aim is that at the end of each stream, we do a release, so a fresh build, test and pack, and then put that into GitHub somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be part of the code sort of facsimile repo, or I might just do a separate repo which just tracks releases. I haven't decided yet. And then that'll alert people in Discord, and then people can download it, play it, and give some feedback. That is the plan. And then custom level loading folder. I think I was tempted to do it before, but then I can think of like 1,000 things I would do. Oh, AC's here. Don't tell him I forgot. There's like 1,000 things we could do before we got it into hands of people, so I'm having a quite strict cut-off of like, let's just get something built and working, because I strongly suspect this just will not work on other people's machines. So that's the plan. So there we go. And then next thing, custom level loading, stuff like that. And then I'm going to indulge myself probably and do some sort of coroutine based game loop, because I think that'll be fun for a few streams. And then basically done, just ship it and move on to a new project. Okay, so I'm thinking, as one often does, I've been thinking about compression. You know, I'm not saying it keeps me up at night, or it occupies a huge amount of space in my head, but it definitely occupies some space at the moment. And I think I want to try zstd from Facebook, because it seems pretty good by the benchmarks that they have done and posted themselves. So obviously it's totally fair and representative test, but it seems okay. It has a CMake file, and also as well, like, I've never used it before, so I think it's kind of fun to try and pick up something new and learn something new and figure something else out together as a group activity. So let's try this. So I think I'm going to want to fetch content it. So fetch content, for anyone new or unaware, is the mechanism by which we are managing our dependencies. It's kind of, I'm very much trying to drive as much through CMake as possible, like really lean into CMake. It's not the best tool, but it's definitely a tool that we are using. And it allows us to do tests, drive tests. It allows us to, after quite a lot of work, package things up. And it also allows us to manage dependencies. So this is what we're going for. Whether you like it or not, here we are. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to copy the Google test one because we have to use this song and dance of not populated, populate, exclude from all. Otherwise, CMake thinks I really want to include all the outputs from this and all the source code in my packaged like artifact, which I 100% do not want to do. So the Git repo is this, and then normally what I do is I like to pin it. I don't like dependencies moving out from under my feet. Every time I build it, if we pull in the latest, then that sounds like every time we build it something could break. So I tend to pin it against whatever their latest release is. So they're here is 1.57. Presumably that's the tag, so we can do tag, which works out quite nicely. So again, we'll get it working with this, and then we can sort of selectively choose to move things forward if we need to. G'day, Daz. Hello, Connor. Hello. Oh, I must change this about NeoVim. Whenever, I don't know what it is, whenever you delete something, it automatically puts it in the clipboard, and that is almost never what I want. I would rather have to do the manual cut to the clipboard buffer, was it double quote star, whatever it is in Vim, because that's how frequently I have to do it. Anyway, my rant over. So that means zstd and zstd. Okay, so I believe that from what I read, let me just embiggen this a bit. Somewhere down here in CMake, the CMake project generator is provided with inbuilt CMake, so there is no root CMake file, which I don't think is a problem because you just go build CMake and then it's here. Got some instructions, got some flags. So we need to make sure, so whenever I bring in something new with CMake, I need to make sure it builds it statically because I want to do that. I will normally want to disable any tests that it has because I don't really care about that. I don't know if it's giving me any extra, oh cool, how to use fetch content. Okay, pretty cool. Source directory. Libs is static. Okay, perfect. Like it. Like this. This is good documentation. This is great. And look how. Yes. Thank you. That saves me having to dig through all the code and find it. Is it standard? I don't like. Is it standard vibe behavior to delete to clipboard? Have I just never realized that before? I always thought you had to yank or delete specifically to the buffer, right? Isn't there a star buffer which is the clipboard? Although actually now it's, I don't see it there. Register, whatever they call it. Anyway, feel free to discuss amongst yourselves whether that is true or not. Whatever. Okay, so we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other thing. So this should work, because then it just says that we need to add... Oh, interesting. On Windows and macOS, this is needed. So in our CMake list, when we build the game library, game lib, we're going to want to add here the, what have they called it? libs static, and it's hello, 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 hello. Apparently I need this, which is fine. We can add that. Okay. So let's just reconfigure this. See what's happening. Lie to me. What have I done wrong? I don't really want to do this. Yeah, Facebook. I guess I could use what they suggest. I just don't see why I wouldn't just download and build it myself. So this should clone it. Okay, fine. This is going to be another one of those, like, it'll only take 10 minutes, and then at the end of the stream, we're still faffing around with it. Obviously, I've got... Alright, so ls depths zstd source. Okay, build CMake. Definitely has CMake lists CMake lists text file in it, and it's definitely built CMake. So where have I gone awry? Oh, here we go. It's this, isn't it? It's this. Where do I need to add that from? I think I need to maintain this as well and do... Jesus, it's hot. Alright. Okay. Slash build CMake. Okay. So we're one of those streams. Just stand around and watch everything build. This the tests are on. Where have we seen that? Am I being... I think this is just testing for things that it needs rather than doing the tests itself. I think. Just build that. Oh, fresh build. This is going to be tasty. You're going to have to build async and this. Sure have that legacy support defined though. Might need that. How's everyone's Sunday? It is hot. Is hot. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get this built, and then I need to figure out how I suppose actually while this is going on, let's see if we can figure out how the API works. So, I mean, examples, that sounds like a good place to start. Simple compression. I mean, that's basically what we want, right? So, it's really not a lot of code. Okay, so let's look at main, get the XC name, check the argc, don't care, file name, create out file name, or die. Compress or die. I think I'm probably going to want compress or die. So it's a C API, that's fine, we can wrap it. So we malloc and load file or die. I like these functions. They tell a story. It's nice. There's sort of a there's a beginning and a middle and an end. It's great. There's malloc and local file or die. So I think what I want is zstd compress bound. Presuming that's setting the maximum size of the thing that I want to compress. And then we're going to malloc or die. I'm going to assume these must be all internal helpers, right? Because one, that casing is outrageous, like mixing and matching all over the place. Two, I'm going to want to choose a vector, right? Compress, here we go. If you are doing many compressions, you may want to reuse the context. So we just compress, right? Buffer size, f buff, which presumably is the out, and the out size then 1. Could be important. Ethereus, hello. And then check zstd on the C size, some sort of macro, great. And then say file die. And then I assume decompress. So is it literally just one function? So for this, read the content size from the frame header. For simplicity, we require that it's always present. By default, zstd will write the content size in the header when it is known. If you can't guarantee that the frame content size was written in the header, either use streaming decompression or zstd decompress bounds. So zstd get frame content size. That sounds like a thing we can do. And then you create that much space. Okay, so you just say, hey, how much space is this going to require when I decompress it? Create that much space, decompress it. This seems reasonably easy. I'm curious to know actually what the actual interface is for these functions though. So we're going to compress first. Where's fine, I'll find it. I'll just find it myself. Okay. So that built. I know that. Let's just check that if we CPack this, we don't get all the extra chuff in it. Nice, I like it. Okay, so it looks like, unless I did something, oh no, I want the 1. Okay, that's fine, so we're not including that. Okay, so now we can write some code. So let's go to the resource packer main. I'm probably going to want to wrap this, I think, even a simple C library into our own, just like, again, taking C++ primitives, we want to take in a vector, and we want to output a vector, and that's probably it. What's my go-to to convince people to use a certain C++ principle or method? It's like anything really. It should be evidence-based. Here is the problem we have. Here is what I think is the solution. Here is why. Let's have a discussion. Like, it's all about building consensus and coming to what is hopefully the right answer, whether it is exactly what you wanted or not, because lots of people have lots of opinions, and it's finding the right people to talk to, and yeah, kind of converging hopefully on the right solution. I don't do a lot of, because I do spend more time teaching, I probably don't spend as much time writing like reams and reams of C++ code, so I tend to, and from a teaching perspective, I try and teach as possible like unopinionated. Like, I very much have my opinion on error handling and where the const goes, and some of these things are irrelevant and some of these things are relevant, but I try and teach it as much as possible as kind of unopinionated. Here are the three ways you could, here are the three schools of thoughts of solving this particular problem. Here's the pros and cons of all of them. This is what I would do. This is what the company standard is. This is what what other people do. Here's why you should pick this one, etc., etc. Because that's kind of my view on it. Right, let's see. Where are we with our miserable source files, which I need to tidy up? I'm trying to at least keep on top of this going forward. Like, it's all nuanced. Everything's nuanced. There are certain things that are part of the coding style guide or part of the just the way things are done, and then that is the way we teach. But I always try and showcase as much as I know, right? Right, I want to put compression somewhere. So do I create a new folder for compression, and it's only going to really contain one or two things, or do I create a utils directory and stick it in there, which could eventually grow to be quite large? I think utils, like compression and decompression, sounds like a utility to me. And then we can maybe bung some of the other stuff that we've got in there. Yeah, like auto-release and stuff should go in there. So let's do the source utils, and then copy, pick your favorite one, source graphics to, I've done that before. Source utils CMake, and then we'll do compress.cpp. The source utils compress.h. This is going to be pretty simple, I reckon. Back once. Namespace game. Hash include vector. Hash include span. Hash include zstd, one of my favorites. And then from here we can just from here we can choose auto compress std span constd byte data std vector of std byte. So I think this pretty much encapsulates like the API I want. We want to take some sort of non-owning view over some data. Like there's no need for us to own it. At least based on the API, there's no need for us to take a copy of it. As in there's a std API, and then we want to return the compressed data, as in actually the new data and a copy of it compressed. Source utils compress.cpp hash include utils / compress. I'll probably actually where's okay, so that's what we want, and then there you go. Okay, right, now we're off. Now we're on to something. Let's just check all this is wired up correctly. And then update my miserable tooling system so it picks up the files, and then we're hot to trot. So the great point is, like, should it have its own namespace? So far, I've just dumped everything in the game namespace, and I think for a small project, that is fine. Thank you. The next project, so I envision at some point, maybe don't use. I do envision this project ending at some point, hopefully with a game. Like that is kind of the goal. And then I do envision another project after that, which will take what we've done here, build upon it. I'd probably want to write a new renderer, maybe like a deferred renderer or something like that, something a bit more advanced. Maybe do some more multi-threading, and then pick like either a multiplayer game or an FPS or something a little bit more nuanced, something a little bit more complex. And then I think what I'll do then is take a lot of this code and then move it over to what looks suspiciously like an engine, and better, maybe like break it out slightly. But for now, I don't feel the need to kind of have any finer grained namespace other than just game, because this is just everything self-contained. I think it's something that I can reasonably make, like even an FPS would only be like maybe like a handful of levels. I'd love to make like an arena FPS, but that's a lot of work. I have a couple of ideas for some games that are slightly more complex, which probably means they're a lot more complex, but we'll see. We will see. Gotta get this done first. We're probably only halfway, and we've been halfway for the last few months. Okay, so let's do CMake, and somewhere there's an add subdirectory utils. Okay, let's just see if that blends. I'm probably not going to write any unit tests for this, because it is just a very thin wrapper around the compression. I'm basically unit testing someone else's code, which I don't normally agree with, and it'd be pretty obvious during like effectively what is our integration testing that it doesn't work, because I won't be able to, like the file size won't get any smaller, or I won't be able to read it. So that's kind of my view on this. I mean, you could probably write in main. We could write a test that round trips it. That is true. Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll write a round trip test. I guess that would let us test its wired up correctly. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm willing to concede that was wrong on that. Happens more often than I care to admit. Okay, well, this is boring. Shoot this in the head, take this around the back, shoot it and start again. I do like seeing the number of tests go up, so there is that. There. I mean, the priority is to produce something that works, and the way I get something working is with unit tests. Again, I think unit tests help, like, when it's just me doing this, it does make a big difference. Thank you. There's one important aspect of unit tests which I think a lot of people kind of overlook, is that it creates small, self-contained, reproducible bundles of logic. So if we have a bug and then I can recreate it in a unit test, then I'm basically most of the way to solving it, because I just keep writing code until the test goes green, and then I know that that bug doesn't come back, because the unit test is kind of there to make sure it stays at bay. And that, for like a solo developer now on what is getting a largest project, that ability is invaluable. We have written tests, we have debugged things with tests on stream before, and we've written a lot of tests to help us kind of get through some of the features. So I would kind of consider, like any software engineering, I would consider the testing an integral part of the feature development. So that's my view. Like, I'm not saying we're writing thousands. We definitely could have more tests. But it's been quite a big time saver for us. I'd say net positive on the time we spent on this project has been the unit tests have provided us. Okay, so this blends, so that's fine. Pretty happy with that. So now I need to test. Okay, so hopefully this brings some sanity back to our editor. And then I'm just going to move this off so I can see what I'm doing. And then I want to include zstd.h. zstd.h. What's nice about this API is it's entirely agnostic to the underlying compression algorithm. Like, it does whatever the compression is that the game requires, and you just talk in terms of vocabulary types, so spans and vectors. So I quite like this sort of very simple function design. We could create a class which has some states, but like for this, I think a function is absolutely fine. Yeah, so like there's a lot of in games you cannot test. And I don't work in the games industry, so I'm kind of making up a lot of this as I go along. I would defer to Harand, who maybe has some more like guilty knowledge of how this is done in industry, but stuff like the maths classes or the script runners or the things that don't really involve interfacing with the graphics API, those are very easy or much easier to test, and we've taken the opportunity to do that where possible. Yeah, exactly. We still need to get people to test it, but like, I will be writing tests. Nope, I basically did a bit of Googling and came across zstd and thought that'll do, and basically thought it wasn't worth any more time than that thinking about it. If this does not meet my requirements, which is to make the resource file smaller without having a massive impact to runtime, then I'll look at others. But I think this, on the surface of it, is enough to get going, and again, just need to make some progress. Shouldn't have asked for Harand's opinion because it differs to mine. That was a mistake. So according to this, I need to do... I think because I've not worked in the games industry, I don't know what the norm is. I don't know what the culture is. I don't know what is the kind of expectation. I've just worked in industries where there's been a huge emphasis on testing, so I kind of bring that with me on sort of like high assurance and not provably correct, but you know, rigorously tested, and then that again, being able to break things down into units and individually verify them, but then also be able to have a framework with which you can reason about and write more tests to test certain things and exercise certain bugs without having to spin up all the infrastructure. That's kind of where I'm coming from. I would agree 100% test coverage is a terrible goal. Like, what? It's a waste of time. Because all you end up doing is so there's a trap with unit tests in that you can very much have a warm fuzzy feeling that there's lots of things that go green, but if they have no meaning, then it's spurious rigor. It's, you know, you just get warm fuzzy feelings for no reason. I've worked with someone before. I remember having this conversation with them. They had inherited some code from someone and it had loads of tests, and he was like, great, it's got loads of tests. And then he took one class, pretty much deleted most of like the actual business logic from the class, and then all the tests still passed. And it was like, well, those aren't really unit tests. Those are just green lights that flash that make you feel good. Anyway, good discourse, interesting conversation. But we'll still be writing tests. So I think this is like, they call it C buff size. So let's call for like compressed buffer size, just to give it a bit of a meaning name. And this is the zstd compress bound. And I take from this the data dot size bytes. Okay, so that's the first thing we do. And then I create a effect. No, I don't. I do auto compressed buffer equals std vector std byte, and then I make this compressed buffer size. Then ultimately I'm going to return this. Okay. But then I also think exceptions are the correct way to communicate errors. So start arguing about that. No, it's good. It's interesting to get other people's opinions. And then all I can really do is stand in off of my opinion and try and defend it, and then kind of go with it anyway. So const auto compress size equals zstd compress, and then for here I give it the compressed buffer dot data, the compressed buffer dot size, the data. Oh, there you go, guys. We've got it. Data dot data, and the f size. What is the f size and why does it do? That must be the size of this data. And then 1. I need to look up what that 1 means. It seems important. How much time have you missed? Not long, like 40 minutes, because I started a bit later today. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm hoping the function has some sort of... it does have documentation. Compress source content as a single zstd compressed frame into already allocated dest, providing disk capacity is greater than equal to compressed bound source, guarantees that zstd will have enough space to successfully compress the data. I think we do that because we call zstd compressed bound, compressed size written into dest, or an error code if it fails, which can be tested using zstd is error. And this is the compression level. Is 1 better than or worse than? It's an int. It's like 0, -1, 2, 1,000, 1,000,000. I think I'll stick with 1 because it's in their example and we'll see where we go. So I want to use zstd is error. So if zstd is error, compress size, what does that return? It returns 1 if error, 0 otherwise. And then I can do, okay, get error code, and then get error name. Provides readable string. That's nice. Okay, fine. So exception, and then we should be able to do throw exception failed to compress data, and then zstd error? What was it? It was something like error string. Error message? I've already forgotten what it was. Get oh man, I'll get there in a minute. Why is that not? Is this in a different header file? No, it should be here. Get error. Is this the get error name? Oh, there you go. Fine. Okay. Why is it not like my exception class? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Use undeclared identifier exception. Like, I'm pretty sure. Oh, hang on. It's because it's exception.h. That's why. Oh, I never included the formatting in here. I wonder if it's worth just doing that super quickly now. Sorry, bit of housekeeping, and then this becomes format string args, and then I want the args. Oop. And then I think I'm gonna have to separate this out because from previous experience, having default arguments on the end is an absolute nightmare. But we should be able to just use call one from the other. Okay. I don't believe you should omit redundant braces. So I think this is what you're talking about, right? Is why do if I have like an if on one line and then why do I put the braces? There have been bugs where this has crept in because of weird Git merge issues because of the removal of the redundant braces. So I find it. There's a classic. This is. Is it this one? Yeah, there was a crypto vulnerability in iOS, which they think had this double goto fail, and they think that this probably came from the fact that there was a Git merge, like an incorrect Git merge, which obviously is a problem in itself, but it wouldn't have happened if you had included the braces, and that is enough to me to convince me that you shouldn't do it. I think it can. The amount of keystrokes it saves you, I do not think is worth the potential bugs that it brings, and that is just my opinion. And that was beaten into me in my first C++ job. That was very much the opinion of the shop I was in, and it has stuck with me ever since. So, again, no one has ever given me a good enough reason to not use it. When you can say, well, there was a security bug in iOS, which probably you'll never know, but like is reasonably likely to have come. Well, actually, it's almost certainly would not have happened if you had those redundant braces, if you look at how the git merge would have happened. But anyway, that's my view on that. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong, and if I worked in a place that did omit them, then I would omit them, because consistency is more important. Consistency is key, right? You want to make your code look as you want your code to be as homogeneous as possible amongst itself. So that is my personal opinion. That may not be the opinion of, you know, wherever you work, and you should go with whatever the standard is. That was a bit of a waffle there. Args is convention. You can call it whatever you want. So I should be able to just do exception. Message stood forward args dot and boot one there. So this is effectively how I'm going to maintain. Is that going to work? I'm not sure if this is going to work. This might cause a load of errors and I'm going to regret everything I did, but so this should be what stood format message stood forward args and then stack trace. I think I can just pass the skip straight into it. I've called it trace. Let me have a look at that. That's obviously not right. So this is our custom exception class, which automatically produces a stack trace for you when you throw an exception, which makes debugging super easy. There we go. AC has had this problem. Don't remove the braces. I think it's just a mistake in the language. How do I put the skip? Because I can actually look at what I've got here. Stood stack trace current skip. Of course. So I don't need this anymore because it's all templated. I think. Okay. So now back to whatever we were doing before, which was probably more important than this. This should now be less grumpy. That's better. We should have had that done a long time ago. What is this code doing? Yeah, great question. Sorry, we've not looked at this in a while. It is a little bit gross C++. This is a custom exception class, okay? So this allows us to throw anything within the game should throw this if it's going to throw, which means we can kind of catch it in one place. We haven't had the need to specialize it further. That doesn't mean we won't, but at the moment everything is kind of good enough in one, if you excuse the pun, catch-all exception. What I did here is I modified the constructor to be templated, so I could use stood format, like the latest and greatest string formatting in C++. So I can give it a message with codebase parens, comma, and then variables, and those will get substituted in there. And we have a bunch of custom formatters for all of our internal types, which means they will get formatted correctly. So we could throw an exception with a string, and in that string has a vector, and it will automatically format it. And with this also bundles in the stack trace as well, which is new in C++ 2023 stack trace 23, which is super useful because every programming language, as far as I'm aware, allows you to get a stack trace from an exception, and it's taken C++ like 50 years, but here we are. So this, when you construct it, this will create a stack trace from the current frame, but the current frame is the constructor, so we want to skip at least that, and maybe want to skip more depending on where we're throwing the exception from. It just means, it just ties up the stack trace at the end, so it will stop in theory, on the line that threw the code, not on the line that constructed the exception. I hope that makes sense. I just prattled on for a little bit there. It's hot. Ugh. I use exception everywhere because it's the correct way to handle errors. Oh, I'm nearly out of water. Oh my goodness. Like, it's too hot for this many errors. This is unreasonable. It looks like a lot of them are from error though, so that is okay. Oh, because I'm doing all this. I guess I can get rid of all this now. So this now just becomes... Oh, a lot of this is just wrong. A lot of this is out of date. I wonder if we just super quickly fix all this up. The packaging does work now, yes, and it's super nice. Okay, I'm sorry, we're just gonna have to fix this because I need to fix this anyway. So this should be format string args, and that's there. That's fine. So that goes there. So this now becomes message, and then we get rid of all this gubbins here. It looks like here I do overload that stack trace. I wonder if... Okay, and then... Why did I do this? I was on an absolute mad one when I wrote this. This is all wrong. Maybe I just didn't know better. Stood forward. This will make sure it's all const extra as well, so the compiler will tell you if it can do the formatting or not, which is nice. Ensure. Okay. V format run is runtime, std format is compile time. So if there's something that the compiler cannot format, then you can use V format to basically defer it until then. Is my basically understanding of it. Great question there. Why not derive std exception? We did originally derive std runtime exception or std runtime error. Something went wrong, and I don't know why. There was some weird quirk in the library or the compiler or something, and it just would... What was the issue? I can't remember. It was... The what pointer was corrupted. I couldn't get the message out of the stack trace, and whilst it was an interesting problem, it was not worth it at the time to figure it out because I wanted to make progress, so I just fully rolled my own. So yeah, that was fun. I need to look into that. Okay, so now all this... Okay, so now all this goes away, actually, because now we don't need to format in the ensure anymore. We should just be able to just pass it straight in. So this is actually going to tidy up a lot of our code, which is nice. No, all the arguments, blah, 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 where you... So it actually doesn't like it from compress now. I got a horrible feeling this doesn't work. I'm going to not allow you for now to overload this because I don't think we do it very often, and it's just a stack trace at the end of the day. We'll just exclude this. So back to file. No, where was it? Error. I think that is going to play havoc with the argument expansion. I could be wrong. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos. Sometimes you just got to stop and just stare and let everyone know you have no idea what you're doing. Rupert Patterson, I hope it's going well. Feel free to join in the Discord and share your progress. I'd love to see it. Ah, well, that is progress, I guess. Hopefully, get that sweet loot at the end. Is that the one where you all have to argue over who gets the loot at the end, or is it some sort of shared pool? We've had thousands of lines of template errors before. These are not too bad. We've had worse. God, I haven't looked at window code in ages. Absolutely ages. Exciting. Oh my goodness, what was I doing here? Oh, absolutely mad one here. Alright. I can't believe I wrote all this and like, this doesn't seem right. Why is this open in read only? Oh, I thought Noita was a WoW raid or dungeon. Sorry. Gotta love a link error. We're nearly there, folks. Chapettes. We're nearly there. How much nicer our code's going to be after this. Ah, it's going to be so good. It'll be worth the pain. Throw. Right. Uh, 109. What's it complaining about here? Okay, fine. Of course, with C++ 26, const explorator exceptions, which is nice. Const explorator exceptions. Alright, the whole program at compile time soon. I can't wait, and I'm generally looking forward to reflection as well. I'm going to reflect the shit out of this when we get it. All those Lua bindings, I'm going to throw them into the sea and use the incredibly terse reflection syntax to get the compiler to do it for me. It's there. I'm going to be spending a stream or two bidding all that off. How do you use NeoVim on a remote server? So for plugins, like I use Kickstart, which is just like a defaulted kind of Lua NeoVim init file, but you kind of need to put all your dot files in one place. I use a tool called GNU Stow, and then put all my dot files on GitHub, and then I just pull them down wherever I want them. Input lag that's just more of a function of your connection rather than the tooling itself. I don't know if you can use inline LLVM. Harand is our resident LLVM expert. You should ask him. Yeah, I'm not really. I have like no real clue about reflection at the moment. I want to. I'll probably just do it live and hope for the best. Okay, right. So now that we've spent more time than I thought doing that. So let's just comment that up. Error, exception. So let's click so fix error exception formatting. Well, I could just commit this up while I'm here, which is oh, hang on, no. Whoop, steady. Be commit bring in zstd. Well, you will not be. C++ 26 is feature complete now, so you will. If it didn't make it into 26 in the last meeting, it is not making it in. So you'll unfortunately have to roll the dice on 29. Yeah, I think the language is making some good progress in the last few editions. Okay, so now we've got this. We can do the compression. We do that, and then we just. I think that's it. I think we is compressing. So let's bring up the decompression, which is going to be pretty much exactly the same. So let's do copy source utils compress.h to source utils decompress.h. Source utils compress.cpp to, excuse me, source utils decompress.cpp. And then decompress. So again, take in the decompressed data and take in the compressed data and decompress it. And then again, we're gonna obviously it's not going to work, but that's just it's all blended up nicely. Why GL and not Vulkan? Apparently, I've been clipped into a popular video about this. I know OpenGL. I mean, I don't know OpenGL, but I know OpenGL, but I know Vulkan. Vulkan is just immensely complicated, and if I want to make any progress on this, so taking a step back, I really want to try. For the first release of this game, every single line of code was written live, so I can only really make progress during the live streams, and we are 56, 57 streams in, and I strongly suspect if we'd chosen Vulkan, well, I know if we'd chosen Vulkan, we would be nowhere near where we are now. I'd still be shouting at my fences and semaphores for not aligning correctly, or not drawing the correct runes into the command list to summon the right, whatever, VK... whatever it is, incantations. So yeah, in this, for a game that doesn't require it, which is this, and a game where I want to make progress, which is this, Vulkan is not the right choice. Yes, indeed, VK frustration. Yeah, I like the 2 in there because clearly the first one was wrong and wasn't sufficient enough. Vulkan, right? So Vulkan has the potential for better performance. It does not in and of itself guarantee it. In the same way that C++ has the potential to be more performant, whatever your metric is, you know, lower latency, high throughput, whatever, than other languages. It doesn't mean it's like true out the back. I could write some really shit C++ that is very slow. just because it's C++ does not make it fast. Yeah, I think Haran's nailed it there. Poorly written Vulkan performs like dog shit, and it's very easy to write to poorly written Vulkan. I am 100% convinced that the best Vulkan I could write would be terrible, but the best OpenGL I could write is marginally less terrible. Exactly. I'm not a professional graphics programmer. I don't know all the intricacies. I don't want to really faff around writing my own heap allocator for the GPU and wondering whether I've got the correct number of sections or the correct allocation and deallocation strategy and all this sort of stuff that you'd also probably need to be able to profile pretty accurately to actually even have an understanding if you're doing it right. Sure, I mean, like, I'm not saying it's impossible to do, right? And it's clearly possible, and there's loads of stuff around there online. I don't think it would be any better or faster than the OpenGL version I'm going to write for the kind of game I want to make, and it would take me less time. So why would I want to spend ages writing code that I don't know is good or not when I've got a much better idea if this OpenGL code is at least passable? Yeah, no, like, I think it's because it's very in at the moment. It's very cool. So I can understand why people want to use it. I just right tool for the right job, and it is just not the right tool for this job. Okay, so I think now on the decompress side, I need to basically sack off most of this. Oh, hang on. Okay, and then we're going to do const auto decompressed size equals zstd get frame content size. So this will be presumably some metadata embedded in the compressed blob that gives you this. Good old data.data, a classic. Data size bytes, and then they do some checks. So I'm gonna keep this. Do I want a wide or I want a narrow contract? I think I want a narrow contract. It could come from a user. So is there a potential issue with not verifying the frame content size at runtime? Potentially yes, because it's going to exist somewhere. Yes, in the sense that a user with a debugger could provide their own data to anything, right? It is not my intention that the resource blob is ever modified by a user, and for instance, you wouldn't be sending it to someone else. I want it to actually be embedded in the executable, at which point there is no difference between that and a version of the game someone's modified and put in like a Bitcoin miner. It's not. Whereas like Lua files, then yeah, I do actually care about, because I can see people sharing those around, but no one should be ever sharing the actual resource. So I think this is a narrow contract. So this is expect. I expect this to be true, but I'll remove this and release. So expect to not equal z it's going to be a macro, isn't it? So it's not going to be out of namespace like that. zstd content size error. And according to this, the error is not compressed by zstd. And then there's also unknown, which is cannot get original size. Okay. Okay, so then we can do auto decompressed buffer equals std vector std uint 8t, and then this will be of size decompress size, which means we can now return this. Decom. Oh, I've done std byte, that's why. Graphics libraries. They all have their quirks. At the end of the day, you tend to build your own abstraction on top of it anyway, right? Which presumably is the thing you find more enjoyable or easier to work with. So, as the project progresses, we already write less and less graphics code. We wrote loads of OpenGL at the start, and now we write hardly any. What is? Oh, there's actually more to this than I thought. It's fine. It's not the end of the world, but we have to check the dictionaries. Oh no, I don't want to. Oh, dictionary decompress. Oh, what a fool! Sorry, clicked the wrong one. I still need to do this, and then I malloc it, and then I just decompress it. Okay. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm doing. Const auto decompressed size equals zstd decompress, and then into this will be the decompressed buffer.data, decompressed buffer.size, data.size bytes. Oops. I know they are the same thing, but let's be specific. And then if this fails, this is an inability to meet the post condition. So this is actually an error at this point. So then it will be wherever I had on the other one. Throw, just going to yank this. Okay. Decompressed. Ah, that's the buffer size, isn't it? Okay. Is that not the... Is that not the size after the decompression? The number of bytes decompressed into dest or an error code. Have I missed something? Decompressed amount? Is that what you're hinting at? I've not understood something. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. Fix that. Yeah. There's not a lot of reverse engineering in the live streams. That tends to be more. The videos tend to be more reverse engineering. The live streams tend to be more forward engineering. You are welcome to come along to either or both or some or none. That's kind of helps how I kind of separate the two out and get to do both in a reasonably consistent manner. Yeah, if you want someone to have a look at your code or some thoughts, head over to the Discord. There's a project showcase section. Feel free to put it there. Please put in as much details as you can about why you've done it, what you hope to achieve, what you've done so far. Just give people some. Don't just post the link to GitHub, basically. See you later, hamster. Super quick test, in and out. 10 minutes, let's do this. Let's just check this blends. Indeed. I wish it was beer. Soon. I just looked down the clock and I was like, oh, 10 minutes to 10. It's like 10 minutes till a beer. But no, I will try and do the full 2 hours and we'll go for at least half an hour more. Okay. As always, this is taking much longer than I thought it would, but that's just the joy of doing things live. I don't know why I put out that. Don't need that. Tests. What are we going to do? Compress tests. CMP hash include gtest hash include utils compress c decompress tests compress round trip set true false unit tests CMake. Wait, where you at? There you are. Let's build that quick. Check it all. Blends. Bingo. Indeed. Writing a deliberately failing test to check that I've integrated it, because I didn't do that once and I didn't realize my test wasn't running. Okay, I want to just go via gtest for this. Where is it? Unit tests. There we go. Okay, cool. So, compress tests. Let's do def hash include string auto data equals actually no, let's do I'll see if I remember how to do this. I'll do const auto r is it that? I think so. Let's have okay. I'll have some rando data, and then we're going to do const auto hang on, const auto as byte, text as bytes, and you can cross ranges off your bingo cards. Equals text pipe to stood views transform return static cast stood byte. Oh, hang on. Helps if I have some arguments. Just auto pipe to stood ranges to stood vector. Okay. We might create an overload for compression, which takes a string if we need to do this a lot, and then do this internally, but for now I think this is fine. It's just a classic lorem ipsum. So you just saw the video and clicked because you want to ask a couple of questions, which is absolutely fine, by the way. I feel like part of this platform that I built out is for me to answer questions and talk to people and share some of my experiences. Got almost zero knowledge, which I don't know if that's true. I hope you're not putting yourself down. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've learned some stuff. You want to be a DevOps engineer without going to university? Is it possible for nearly 4 years of work by myself? I've just learned Linux commands for DevOps and continue. So you don't have zero knowledge, okay? So I guess that's the first thing to focus on. Sometimes you get a voice in your brain that says maybe you should change your plan. For example, do a backend or full stack. It's true. I do generate shorts out of this as well. We'll get back to that in a minute. Let's focus on Wonder Grump's question. I think, like, if you've got a goal of where you want to go to, then it's just a case of it's just grinding out the experience. I don't think university is required for a lot of jobs now. I went through quite a traditional route. I went to university, I did a bachelor's, I did a master's, and then in computer science, and then I went on to get a job as a C++ dev. So I guess, I do have that bias, but I do think with the wealth of information out there now, it is definitely possible to learn a lot, learn as much without the formal qualification. It just means that you are kind of the master of your own destiny, and you have to kind of figure out what you need to learn to do it. I'm not a DevOps engineer, so I can't really give you specific advice on that, but I would definitely, there must be roadmaps available. Reach out to DevOps people from companies that you know of and respect and would like to work to, and ask what you can do to kind of get in the door and what you can do to kind of separate yourself apart. Build out, it sounds very businessy, but build out your network. Reach out, find out this information for yourself. It's all possible. You can learn all these things. It's just a case of being diligent and having not just the motivation, but the diligence to kind of keep going. How do you get that included header is not used directly? It's normally because I've used a header. It's because I put a header in there that I've not used, but I suspect that wasn't your question. This is using the language server plugin for Vim. It will go away in a minute when I update my tooling. It's a little bit behind. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry if that's kind of a bit high level. It's because I've not updated my header files yet. So it's because I've not done a build yet, so it's not updated the compile commands JSON, so ClangD doesn't know what flags to build this file with. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I can cut out the bit about me talking about the meta bit. It's fine. We can cut that out. Okay, so why is this? Oh, I don't know what a tyranniform is. Okay, disappear. Updated the tooling, and some of it disappeared. It's correct. I've not used strings, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay, why is it? Have I ranged wrong? It could very well be a dinosaur. So I can't speak for like companies' requirements. Companies receive an awful lot of applications and sometimes need a way of filtering on it. So putting a degree as a barrier is one way of doing it. I don't agree with that at all. I think after a while, experience is more important than degree. Like I put my degree on my CV, but it's like a tiny little footnote. It's the experience you have is more important. None of the stuff I do, right, I was retaught at university. I mean, I came out of university knowing how to write a mean linked list in C, and that was kind of it. Turns out that's absolutely useless in a real world, in a real job. I mean, actually, that's like because I did a lot of stuff in crypto, which I enjoyed and stuff like that, or cryptography, and some security stuff as well. But real world experience and actually learning how to like navigate business and how to drive impact to a business, it is the thing people are hiring you for. Yeah, this was before crypto. This is cryptography. Yeah, so the pipes here is how you can compose. That's the word I'm looking for. God, it's hot. Compose ranges and views. So this should take the text, transform it into a byte sequence, which is what I know the compress function is going to need, and then take this view, which is a lazily evaluated view over some data, and actually concretely stick this in a vector. Dan Vale, subbed again for 2 months. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, let's just see what happens. So let's do const auto compressed equals game compress. Oh, interesting. Because I got a view. I wonder if that means I don't need to actually even turn it into a vector. That would be neat. Const auto decompressed equals game decompress. So we're just going to round trip this. Okay, and then I want to assert not equal compressed decompressed. Let's just check that we're not just returning the same data all the way through, because that would be silly. Assert equal decompress. I do stood ranges equal decompressed text as bytes. Might need to include move that down. Might need to include algorithm for that. Okay, let's see what the compiler says about the misery that I've unleashed upon the world. Hello, I'm using OpenGL. What a great question, actually. If I was to go back to when I was 18, which was quite some time ago, would I redo university? Yes, because my life now is a function of all my previous experiences, which include university. And whilst that people could have different routes to get to kind of similar where I am, like that is what worked for me. I was always quite academic at school. I did well in that kind of academic environment. I enjoyed university. I enjoyed the learning. I enjoyed the life experience. It doesn't mean it's for everyone, and I really don't want that to be the takeaway from this. But for me, I had a positive experience of it. Also, university was cheap when I went, so I don't know if I'd be going now when it's so expensive, because the UK is. I mean, I think America is even more expensive, but in the UK it is quite expensive now. The compiler did not accept my offering. No. Wants Shasta. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's because this is a pointer. This is a pointer. This will work. Well, that won't work. Ooh. Actually, hang on. Ooh, interesting. A thought hath occurred to me. Stream using std namespace literals. What am I doing? Using namespace std literals. Get there in the end. SV? Nope, not there. Absolutely not there. Anywhere but there. Okay. Oh, this doesn't take a range, it takes a span, which is different. So yes, I will indeed need the pipe 2 std ranges 2 std vector. I think I have worked on a large-scale C++ '03, but very similar to 98 codebase. And I don't know if you're joking. I don't know if this is sarcasm. I don't know if it's rage bait, but you are massively missing out if you are choosing not to use any of the modern features, like range-based for loops and lambdas, would just make your life so much easier in so many ways. But again, I don't know. Maybe you're trolling. It's hard to say. Hazaby, resub for 4 months. Thank you very much. Does the SV have the null byte on the end? Oh, it doesn't matter because I am talking in terms of byte arrays, which has no concept of a null byte, so it doesn't matter. It would be the onus would be on me if I was passing strings through this to ensure that the null byte kind of was. I knew that on the other side I would or wouldn't get the null byte and check appropriately for it. It's a great point because we've had this issue before. For this, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's just a lot of niceties now on C++. It's definitely C++ has a relentless, commitment to backwards compatibility, which means it's very hard to remove features. At best, you're going to deprecate in 3 years. You're going to deprecate it, and then in another 3 years, you're going to remove it. So you're always 6 years away from removing anything, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That is the state of it. But in those intervening 6 years, you can add more stuff. So you tend to add more stuff to make the old stuff better. And that's kind of the mindset you have to have, which does mean there's multiple ways of doing things, and the quote-unquote best way changes over time. So that's why it's kind of hard to learn C++, and you have to kind of keep up with it because the best practices do change. And like, you don't have to use every single new feature. Like, you don't have to ham it in just for the sake of using it, but you should not artificially preclude yourself or define like random language subsets. Oh, it's a tricky one. How many beers have I had? Okay, let's it's not worked. So again, already I think this is a useful test, because unless I've written the code wrong, well, even if I've written the code wrong, like, I mean, I've either driven I've definitely written the code wrong because the test shouldn't fail. I've either made a bug or I've driven the API wrong. I mean, there's slightly different things. Interesting. You have to go for some sort of questionable meat-filled pastry, I think. Ginster's, I reckon. It's all fixable. It's not bricked my machine. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Let's showcase our wonderful exception class. Take one of these, take one of these, and then we should be able to just do std because we have a custom formatter for it. We should be able to do that. I might have to include formatter. It's line 32. It's saying it's actually throwing in an exception, and gtest doesn't communicate errors via exceptions, so I suspect the exception is coming from my code. Println is C++23, yeah. One of my favorite C++23 features. Yeah, okay, fine. So again, this is what we get now with our custom exception class, which I think is pretty much like this is the reason to roll your own. Failed. So we get the thing. So I get failed. So I get the line, right? The text. Then it'll tell me on the line somewhere in. Where was it thrown from? Decompress. There you go. The first line. Decompress line 27. Which is really nice. So now we go decompress, line 27. And it's saying that source size is incorrect. Have I just gotten the arguments the wrong way around? Am I being a fool of a took? So rbuff is the I think this is right. So in their version, they pass in the rbuff and the rsize and the cbuff and the csize, which are great variable names. Rbuff, I believe, is the result of the get frame content size, and then so that's rsize. Then rbuff is the malloced version of that. Binary Hood, resubscribed for 3 months. Thank you very much. It's a bit of a, yeah, I mean, like the pros of stack trace kind of assume you've got the symbols and the other gubbins set up. Yeah, malloc. Yeah, malloc or die. There's also malloc and load file or die as well. So this is they're just doing this from a file, right? So but it's irrelevant to us. So rsize is that, and then rbuff is that. So this is the where you're going to squirt the decompressed data into is the first two, and the second two are the args themselves, the inputs. So what is it saying it doesn't like? It's saying it doesn't like the source size is incorrect. So source size is none of those. So I assume it means this size. It's got to be this size. So it doesn't like data size bytes. Background noise, people getting it? I can turn, for you guys, I will turn the fan off, but I will be internally quite grumpy about it. Come on, I just want to get this done. I think it's a good end to the stream. I will never rewrite the engine in Rust because I've not written an engine. I'm writing a game. Right, what's up with this? This is making me grumpy now. Which can be tested using zstd is error. So I've got this, and this returns 1 if error, 0 otherwise. So I guess using the implicit conversion to bool. It's not the issue. I don't really like it. I should. Nah. That is not the issue. What's the issue? Why have I... What am I doing wrong? I mean, I bet Haran will be all over that. The compression works, right? It seems to like that. Oh, here we go. What's this? Have I... I use a Razer Huntsman Mini, so 60% keyboard. Must be at least as large as the frame header. Any size greater than the frame header size max is large enough. So what is... Yeah, that's... Okay, let's do compress test round trip. Let's go again. This is the advantage of unit tests, right? Is I can now debug. I can now step into this very specific use case and see what's going on. All my things on this debugger F11. Let's step out. 11, F11. Okay, fine. Here we are. So yeah, buffer size is 500. And it's not these, so I can... Yes, we need to get rid of the arrow keys. It's pretty adamant that these are the correct flags. Like, it is destination, source, destination. There you go. I go. Compressed size must be the exact size of some number of compressed and/or skippable frames. Multiple compressed frames can be decompressed at once with this method. Thus, the result will be the concatenation of all the decompressed frames back to back. Disconnect is an upper bound of the original size to regenerate. First frame's decompressed size can be extracted using get frame content size. So this needs to be decompressed buffer size then, right? I guess it will infer that how many bytes are in this based on the data that it has internally. I do need to get. I'm probably not going to use modules on this project, but I think the next project I'll commit and use modules from the start. Okay. Nailed it. Oh no, it's still. Hey. No, it didn't. It didn't work. Just the test went green. Why is that still throwing? It's because it's throwing and catching before it hits any of the assert failures. So it's technically not. The test is not failing anymore because I've just kind of caught the exception and not hit any of the asserts. There's a. Hang on. I feel like I can't end the stream with not at least getting this done, which is the thing I wanted to do today. You think this should be 18? It kind of goes against their example though, right? Because they're... Am I... Wait a minute. Hang on. No, I'm being stupid here, aren't I? I'm not... I don't think I'm... Hang on. I don't understand their... Because their argument comes from malloc and load file or die. I guess I probably need to find out what this does. It's going to be one of the common, I guess. Malloc and load file or die. Allocates memory buffer and there's loads file into it. This function will send an error to the and exit memory to return buffer and buffer. Yeah, this just returns the buffer size, right? F size or die. Buffer size that. So it's setting the size T there. It's calling this, but it's no, it doesn't like that. literally cannot understand this. Do I need to add additional data or something? But I feel like the metadata must be there, because then it's not failing on this. Seems highly unlikely it's going to be a compression error. We've tried both. Well, we don't need to print it because you just use a debugger, right? Let's go. So when we go to here, our arguments are going to be decompress buffer, which is 500 bytes. And the size of that will be 500 bytes. Okay, that's what it's created all that space. The data is 564 bytes, which is larger, which is what you would expect. Whoa, oh, hang on. Oh, it's because I've not allocated it to it yet. Idiot. And then you pass in here 500. Can I step it into its code to find out where it's... failing. Okay, so... created, presumably this is a context object, and it's going to use this, and then it's going to initialize that. I'm assuming that is fine, so it's going to be this one here, which is going to be... I don't want get dict, I don't think. I think I want here, into here. This is fine, this is fine. This should be null pointer, which it is, that's fine. Seems unlikely to be a CMake bug. Why would it be a CMake bug? Also, why would CMake have anything to do with this? Where does it return the error? Forward if error. Here we go. This will initialize correctly with no dict. You can also use this in all cases but dedict. Oh no, decompress begin using dict. That's fine. So do we flip over that? I think it's going to be this, isn't it? Or is it this? So this res here is interesting because it's definitely the return value. No, that's fine. That's the return value, isn't it? So that's not going to return there. Res is definitely less than or equal to the capacity, so that's fine. So if res doesn't equal 0, then it's going to write some data. Then it's going to do disk capacity minus 1, and then 1. So that's going to keep going. That's fine. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. So this is now an error, right? Because I'm going to assume res is negative numbers. Yeah, so it's returning out now. So why? So it decompresses the first chunk. If I... It shouldn't make any difference, right? Because these... They should be the same. Because this is the get frame content size, right? So, here you go. Source should point to the start of a zstd encoded frame. Source size must be at least as large as the frame header. Any size is large enough. Decompress size of source frame content if known. Note 1. The zero return value means the frame is valid but empty. Decompress size is an optional field. It may not be present, typically in streaming mode, when return equals no constant. So we don't get that. Decompress size is always present when compression is completed using single pass functions, such as zstd compress. There you go. So the size is always present if you use compress, which we have. Decompressed size can be very large, potentially larger than what the local system can handle in a single memory segment, in which case it's necessary to use the streaming mode, which won't be the case for us. I don't think. If source is untrusted, decompressed size could be wrong or intentionally modified. Always ensure return value fits within application's authorized limits. So maybe we do need to be a bit more assertive on this. Well, it doesn't actually matter because whatever value you return there, we will just allocate that much space and then write into it, so that's fine. Yeah, but like compressed size is... Oh. So I think we tried this. I thought we tried this. Yeah, well, just for the avoidance of doubt and just to check that I'm not being a total fool. Oh my goodness. There you go. Why have I got a different stack trace? Oh, is it? Oh, it's because Visual Studio is running. It doesn't. It really, really, really doesn't like that. Which is very strange. Let's just check it did actually build it. I just feel like I'm following their example, right? I just like, is this not their, very much their example? Get the size, call get frame content size, allocate that much space, pass in the buffer, the size, the buffer, and the size into decompress. They call this checks as stood, but I assume that does the same thing. Yes. Okay. I could ask the Oracle. Okay. I'm using zstd. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you can't see this. Decompress and getting source size is incorrect. Help. I bet it's going to ask the code as well. Corrupt or incomplete data, incorrect size past the decompress. Ensure the source size matches the actual compressed data size. The thing is though, it's like what I don't understand about this is that none of this mentions source size. It's just, well, I suppose it is compressed size, isn't it? Wrong data passed into the function, using raw blocks instead of frames. I'm not doing that. Data alignment issues, that seems unlikely. This error comes from here. I'm just curious. Hello. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand how it's any different. Yeah, so it definitely doesn't decompress it. Oh, interesting. Does a bug in their code? It seems highly unlikely in what must be the most commonly used function. I must just be checking the errors wrong. I mean, I'm not really going to spend any more time on this. But that's lame. What an unsatisfying resolution that is. It shouldn't be getting the last... so if you look at how it works in compress, which is fine. You checks if there's an error first, and then calls get error name based on the result of this. I mean, but the thing is though, like, it's very clear. Returns 1 if error, 0 otherwise. Like, it's literally in their documentation. So I find it very, considering this is quite diligently documented, I would be very surprised if that was wrong. That's a very fundamental mistake to have. Whatever. Where does this? So at the end, we get the yield, we get the data. So util slash steady compress. So what's the current size of resource? It's 265 meg. Const auto compressed equals game compress resource data, and that should just do writings compressed dot size, and then here I need to fix this at some point because this should be using the file class we wrote. There seems to be a bug in that. So I think if I remove the resources file, I'm hoping CMake picks that up and rebuilds it. Otherwise, I'll have to reconfigure it. Okay, generating resources, nice. Occasionally it gets it right. I'm hoping this will be quicker because I think the bottleneck was the file I/O, and we're now writing a smaller file in theory, but I guess we'll see when it gets out. Anyway, once we've done this, there's not a lot left to do to get it into the hands of the people. I reckon hopefully another stream and we'll be there, and then just need to look at some GitHub Discord integration. This is painful. I need to have a look at why I have to use this as well and not the memory mapped, which should be faster. Is it taking a long time or is it just stuck? I am sweaty. I'm going to share that with you all. This normally doesn't take this long. This is very, very strange. Unless this the so how do we run it? Resource, tools, resource packet, assets, resource tests. I just want to see what the logs say, because for some reason CMake swallows them all up. Oh, it's there. Fine. Okay, I'll take it all back. It really got bigger. That's... Is this... Is it this magical flag here? Do I need to change the... What are the possible flags for the last arg of the stud? Is one like, don't do anything? Flags. Alright, okay. God, ChatGPT being real snarky with me. It's like, actually it's the compression level, not the flags. I'm like, yeah, okay, I knew that, but whatever. Higher values result in better compression, but slower performance. Right. Oh, it's 1 to 22. Or you can just do... max sea level. Oh my goodness, I'll get there in a minute. Oh, I want maximum compression. I just want to just like, what's the most extreme and how long does it take? I should also run it again where I can actually see what it's doing. I think it's the compression now taking the time. Yeah, I know. It's just my fingers are just like sticking together. It's chaos over here. So all of our resources are being compressed. I'm going to call this soon because I'm literally going to pass out in a minute, and I'm getting grumpy. I am aware of the ongoing drama and discourse around Stop Killing Games. Yes, it's kind of hard to escape it. I'm gonna have to do something about this because this is also I bet as well. This is also. Let me start again. This is also a debug build, so the compression algorithm will itself be slow because it's not built in release. So I wonder if you can. Could we always build the resource packer in release mode? That is a good point. Yeah, okay, I might accept that. If it's a debug build, don't compress. I mean, you can encrypt compressed data, but what the point of basically the whole point of compression is that it removes entropy, right? Or well, compression finds similar patterns and replaces them with shorter patterns. That's effectively how compression works, right? Is you're going through the data and saying, oh, there's this effectively this n run of digits, and I see it here in two places, so I'll just replace that with something smaller that later on I can expand to. What encryption does is turns data into very high entropy. The idea is it should be, I believe the cryptographic term is it should be indistinguishable from random noise, which means there's not really a lot to compress. So yeah, you should compress first, then encrypt if you want to get anything out of the compression. You can do you can do either of those two options in either way, but one will yield a better result because compressing encrypted data will not yield very high returns. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to have a think about this because this is unreasonable. I cannot be doing. I mean, not that we do this every stream, but like the fact that we've spent a lot of effort to compress something and the file is bigger and much slower to produce is not really the goal that I wanted. I do want to see if this runs. This is untenable. Well, at this point I don't know. I've added some extra logging, so we'll find out next time. Also, yeah. Okay, I'm taking the executive decision of pressing the button and moving myself away. Okay, right. We wrote some code, we wrote some tests. That was pretty much a win. The outcome wasn't quite what I desired, but that's fine. These things happen. This is all part of the process. Software engineering. We will fix this on Wednesday, and then a few little bits change. And then I really kind of want to do some coroutines. Maybe that's my treat at the end of all this is to indulge myself. Thank you everyone for coming along. I hope you had fun. Apologies if it wasn't particularly great end result, but these things happen. So, like, if you've ever written any software before, this is probably not a new experience. But yeah, let's do it all again Wednesday, and we'll make it better and faster and smaller? Question mark. I need to get out of this office because I'm going to expire. Thank you very much, and I will see you all anon.